The long wait for Euro 2020 is finally over. In the build-up to the big kickoff, we are doing something special. We have scoured the Twitterverse to find a representative from each of the 24 nations competing in this summer's European Championships. We will be recording a preview with each representative who will be sharing views on their nation's hopes and expectations throughout the tournament, and most importantly, the fantasy assets we should be looking out for. Welcome to Euro 2020 Happy Hour. Hello and welcome to our Euro 2020 preview series with myself, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Rob, tonight we've got yet another guest, and they are representing a country that topped their group in qualification, and that is Nicola. Welcome, Nicola, Switzerland.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicola. I'm 22 years old from Switzerland, Zurich. And I'm currently studying sports and biology at the University of Bern. I think that's about it.
Nice. Do you play FPL?
I play FPL, yes. It's sort of my first year that I'm actually taking it serious. Before I didn't really understand what to do, but I'm sitting on 80k. I think that's all right, I suppose. But I'm bottling it right now. I'm not doing too well this game week.
Well, I'm having a good game week, but I'm doing like 110k overall, and Rob's probably about the same as me, so it's not too bad.
That's horrendous.
I think. I mean, for those listening, we're like minutes after the end of game week 37, and yeah, people are all over the place with some of the late action that happened in like the last 10-15 minutes. So yeah,
exactly.
It's hard to gauge how we've all done.
Yeah, that's the beauty of FPL, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right, so let's talk about Switzerland. How did you do in qualification? Because you topped your group, right? But something tells me you weren't too happy.
Yes, I mean, our qualification was right, I suppose, but I don't think we had the strongest group at all. I mean, we don't need to talk about Gibraltar and Georgia, I think, because, they're Gibraltar and Georgia without disrespecting them. Also with Denmark and Ireland, but Ireland, they scored seven goals in 8 games in that group, and I think that says a lot about their attacking threat. And I don't see good development in Irish football anyway. Like, they lost to Luxembourg in the World Cup qualifications. So the only real opponent, I think, was Denmark in that group. So it was quite weak, in my opinion. And well, we drew 3-0 at home to Denmark, bottling a 3-0 lead. By the way, that was horrible, that match. And we lost away to Denmark 1-0. So yeah, we were lucky that we ended up at top of the group, because Denmark drew twice to Ireland. And I think the qualification was worse than for Russia 2-18, for example, or France 2-16. So yeah.
So who are your main players in qualification? Who played well or didn't play well?
Shakir, for example, was always injured, unfortunately, but some key players were the centre backs. Fabian Schär from Newcastle, who's injured all the time too, but he played a lot. There was the centre backs in general, Manuel Akanji, Nico Elvedi, and the goalkeeper Jan Sommer was extremely important. Granit Xhaka, I know he's not the most popular player for Arsenal, but in the Swiss team he's very respected, and he's extremely important for the structure, for our defensive, for the back line. Offensively speaking, there were a lot of changes. I don't know, maybe Haris Seferovic scored a lot of goals, but I mean, like I said, in the big games we didn't really turn up. I mean, we won against Ireland once, drew once, but I think the players that I mentioned were the most important ones.
I remember, and I don't know if he still plays for you, Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
he still play?
He still plays.
Because he's he's a penalty taker as well, I think, right? Or he was.
Exactly. No, he still is. He's also sometimes on free kicks and on corners. I think he could be a good shout in fantasy terms, but
I didn't know that he was still playing for you guys. I just remember that the last like Euros and World Cup. I remember like Rodriguez, Switzerland, because he's on penalties and he's like all like the set pieces and stuff. I didn't know he was still playing. He's a defender, right?
He plays still as a defender. Yes. He doesn't really play for his club, which is a bit worrying. I think he played like 15 games in 38 for Torino in Serie A. But if he plays, he will play at the Euros. I'm 99% sure, because he always plays in the qualification, and there's no reason not to play him because we don't really have good left back. But he comes at a price of 5.5 million, which is for a defender is quite high. But yeah.
So, what would you say are the strengths and weaknesses of the Switzerland side? So, if we put fantasy aside and we just talk about actual football, where do you guys put your strengths and weaknesses?
I think since 2012 we're always a very solid team. We never had a team which has said like, oh, we're horrible this year or that year or that tournament. I think that's a big plus side. Defensively speaking, always solid. Rarely concede more than 2-3 goals. Okay, we conceded 3 against Denmark, but that was one off, right? Always happens to the best of us. A big weakness, I think, is if Shaqiri doesn't play, we lack a lot of creativity going up front. We lack good wingers. We don't have good wingers. We always have solid players, but nothing special. That's a big issue, I think. And the midfield, I think the heart of our squad is solid. We have Granit Xhaka. I know, not a proper player for Arsenal, but he plays well for Switzerland. Denis Zakaria, huge talent as a DM for Gladbach, and also Djibril Sow, who plays for Frankfurt. In the middle of our side, we have good players, but we're lacking on the wings and creativity without Shaqiri.
Okay, so let's talk about Shaqiri for a bit. You said that he didn't play much in qualification for you guys. Do you think? I know you topped your group, but obviously you said that you're quite disappointed in the way that you played. Do you think this was because Shaqiri wasn't there, and now if he will be fit for the Euros, what's your kind of hopes that he'll bring to the side?
Well, I think we played poorly because he didn't play. I think that's absolutely spot on. For Liverpool, he plays in a 4-3-3 most often on the right-hand side, and in contrary to that, for Switzerland, he plays in a 10 position right behind the striker. And Shaqiri is I think he's underrated in a sense that people underestimate his vision, his creativity, and that's what he does for Switzerland. He scores lots and lots of very important goals. He doesn't just provide, pre-assists or doesn't get any points in fantasy terms, but he scores a lot of goals. He scored 3 goals, a hat-trick at the 2014 World Cup. He scored the bicycle kick against Poland at 2016. I don't know if you guys remember that. At 2018, he scored the winner against Serbia World Cup. So he turns up in the big games as well. He's not only good against small teams. He turns up, and without a doubt, he was missing in the qualification because he's never fit really. But if he's fit, and I think he's kind of fit now, so he'll 100% play, possibly behind the 2 strikers or 1 striker, depends on the formation. But if he'll play there, I think he's at 7 million, a very good shout.
Okay, so let's look at your group for the Euros. What do you think of it? And do you think you can get out of it? How tough? We've I know we're recording before, obviously it's going to go out. We recorded with the Italy correspondent representative today, and he was very confident about the group, and he didn't really rate Switzerland's chances, to be honest. What I'm just bringing a bit of banter there between you guys and some rivalry. What's your thoughts on the group?
Switzerland and Italy is always a bit of rivalry, but I like Italians more than I like the ones up north, the Germans. Anyway, well, I think he's got a point in some. It's not an easy group. I think Turkey. You never know about Turkey, right? Turkey and Switzerland have a big rivalry because right before the 2006 World Cup, they played in the playoff, and there was a huge scandal, and Switzerland got qualified, but there was riots in Istanbul in Turkey. So that could be a heated game, a very heated game. I don't think there will be a clean sheet in that game. And I think Switzerland's chances of going through are like 50-50. I don't see Wales going through. Italy will go through, but Switzerland, Turkey will be the decider, I think. And that's why I'm not that keen on I just don't see Switzerland going very far, because we're always having high expectations in our country. We always say, oh, we got this and that talented player, but at the end of the day, we're lacking that little bit, that world class player. That's lacking for us. Has always been lacking, and I think it's a 50-50 toss coin, to be honest, if we go through or not.
I mean, I think that, like you've got Italy, who are massive favourites for the group.
Yeah.
Like the way they qualified was emphatic, and you'd expect them to be have that top spot, like kind of locked in, really. As long as they show up. We discussed with the Italian rep that sometimes they turn up to a tournament and they fall apart. But I can potentially see this being one of the groups that 3 teams do advance through, because of there's like the other 3 teams are all, in my opinion, relatively similar strength: Wales, Switzerland, and Turkey, and it could be the case of whoever scores the most in the games between the 3 of you ends up in second position, and then whoever scores the second most between the 3 of you ends up in third position. I think almost that Italy game for the 3 of you is like the least important. I think it's the games against for Switzerland, it's the games against Turkey and Wales that are the 2 really important games. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree, absolutely. I think Italy will probably get like at least 5 points. I don't think they will lose a game. They're very solid. I don't know what the Italian guy told you guys, but yeah, I think actually I didn't think about that, but 3 teams going through here is a possibility. Although I think, if there's too many draws between the teams, Switzerland, Wales, and Turkey, that could be an issue, because you never know. Like the first game, you just want a draw is all right, and then at the end of the day, 3 points won't be enough to go through as a third, I think. But yeah, it's when I made a lot of I thought a long time about how much if we will go through or not, and what the results will be, and how Italy will play, and Turkey and stuff like that. And I think it's much harder to predict than Fantasy Premier League. It's so hard to predict these tournaments, because you never know what happens. 2016, Iceland, Wales, some teams just go through, and you would never expect that. But yeah, it's gonna be, I think,
sometimes a bit cliche, maybe, that like the it's what we love about tournament football, that it can bring out the most unexpected results and the biggest surprises. So maybe there is a surprise on the cards for you guys, and that's in your second game against the hot favourites for the group. I don't know.
Right, let's talk about fantasy now. So who are your main, I guess the first two questions that everyone will want to know, and we ask this to everyone, just because, as you know, as a fantasy player, I'm sure when you're looking at FPL, these are the things that you most look out for. First question is, are there any out of position players? So any players that appear to be in defense, but actually play midfield, or play midfield that should be in defense, same as midfield and attackers?
Mm-hmm. I think there's no Stuart Dallas
Yeah,
in our team.
basically, is there a Stuart Dallas or a Lundstrom?
Not any of those, but we play with wing backs. Maybe we play 4-2-3-1 or 3-4-1-2. And if we play 3-4-1-2, most likely there will be a right back playing in right mid. Not a left back in left mid, but a right back in right mid, and that's the issue. Maybe Mbabu from Wolfsburg or Wittmer from Basel. Probably Mbabu, but yeah, he would be a good shout. He has a lot of attacking threat, and if he plays at 5 million, he's a good shout, because right mid position, play with good attacking threat, and yeah, that would be the only one I'd say who plays out of position in the midfield. Otherwise, no one. Maybe Embolo plays at striker in a 3-4-1-2 with Seferovic combined. He's a midfielder in the game, but yeah, no defender playing in midfield otherwise.
Okay, and are there any players that you look at and you think are really undervalued?
Perhaps our centre back, Nico Elvedius at 4.5 million. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. He'll 100% play all games with Akanji, and he has more attacking threat than Akanji, and Akanji is 5 million. So I think 4.5 million is a great deal. I'll probably get him for my team. And undervalued, I have to say Shaqiri. I mean, 7 million is not that much in fantasy terms.
But if anyone's going to score or be the heartbeat, it'll be Shaqiri, you think?
I think so, yeah. Or he provide. It could be also Seferovic or Embolo. But, they have so many chances, and they sometimes score 2 out of 3 and sometimes score 2 out of 25 chances. It's not Embolo, I don't know if you watched any Gladbach games this year, but I mean, the chances he missed, oh my God. It's almost impossible that a Bundesliga player misses his chances. But at the same time, he could do well, But I don't reckon either Seferovic or Breel Embolo, because they're at 8 and 8.5 million, and I think that's just a bit too much. I think Shaqiri is better valued at 7 million.
So who's your lineup? If you could, what's your kind of predicted lineup, would you say?
In a 3-4-1-2, it's probably Sommer in goal. He play all games. 3 center backs is Elvedi, Akanji, and probably Rodriguez, who's playing at left back, but he'll go back because Cher is not fit yet. Right back or right mid, in that instance, is probably Mbabu, not quite sure yet. Centre mid is Xhaka, and the other one, either Zakaria or Freuler, who plays for Atalanta, just lost today against Juve, unfortunately. And the left mid, that's a hard position. I'm not quite sure yet on that. Probably Vargas from Augsburg, but that's a position who's a bit weak. And behind the 2 strikers, like I said, Shaqiri, and 2 strikers, Embolo and Seferovic.
Okay. Any other players? So you mentioned Shaqiri, you mentioned the 4.5 million defender. Is there anyone else, not necessarily from this player looks really good value, but are there any other players that us fantasy players should be looking at as options? Or who are you going to be looking at as options?
To be honest, I'm going to be honest. I'm looking at Rodriguez at 5.5 million. It's expensive. It's risky. He's on pens on free kicks. I don't see us getting more than 1 clean sheet. And 5.5 million is a lot, but he could get a lot of points. it's a risky play. So
And
I'll
he's
be looking
definitely
at
on
him.
Penalties.
He's definitely on penalties. If he plays 100%, he took I think the last 10 or something like that. If he plays, and he plays. He should play. We'll see it in the friendlies who plays, and then that gives us a better idea who play at the Euros. I'll be looking at Zimbabwe as well at 5 million. I'm gonna have to admit it, even though I'm not quite sure if he'll play, but he has a lot of attacking threats, so yeah, he could be another Dallas, hopefully. And like I said, also Shakir and Delvedi, but more than these four, I'm not quite sure. I wouldn't recommend looking at other players because the price tag on Embolo and Seferovic is too high.
Rob, have you got any questions?
Yeah, I mean Shaqiri at 7 million, I think is the huge standout in the whole team.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
I mean, having a look, just sort of having a look at the way that the team would line up like that, and with him in that sort of playmaker number 10 position, it's actually perfect for him. We've seen him; he's occasionally before Jota joined Liverpool, when Firmino was injured at times last season, he'd drop into that hole with Mane and Salah either side of him, and he'd come out with returns. And yeah, I think because he can drift out onto either flank as well. Yeah, it makes him really dangerous. And he's brilliant set piece taker. Like free kicks, he's brilliant. He never gets a sniff in at Liverpool because they've got Mo Salah and Trent, and yeah, they've got these other players that are great. But Shaqiri can get the ball on a postage stamp, like right into the top corner. And he's brilliant on set pieces. I think 7 million. Like the other players at that price tag. Like it's I think it's almost silly not to, especially in that first with that first match day against Wales, where he's up against probably one of the weakest defense. Well, it's probably the weakest defense in that group by a long way. That Welsh defense, like you'd argue that Wales are generally a sort of a 2 or 3 man team, and none of them are defenders. So yeah, I think his potential, potentially almost a lock in my team for match day 1, and potentially a captain choice on that Saturday, the first Saturday of the. If you want to take a gamble in the first match day, and the fact that like you can move your captain along, like if he doesn't perform, you can move him on to someone else. And there's some great fixtures after that for some players. And yeah, it's a tempter for me is sticking the captaincy on him, see what happens. If it doesn't work, you can whack it on Harry Kane on the Sunday against Croatia. And you're happy.
What do you think? Do you endorse this Shaqiri captaincy?
Well, if you couldn't change the captain, I wouldn't, but you can change the captain. So I'm not actually quite sure which games are on Saturday as well. So, but I think it's not a bad shout. I think we'll also have to see how Wales do in the upcoming friendlies. If they play horrible football, like Ireland, for example.
You really don't like Ireland, do you?
No, I like Ireland, but gotta banter some Irish people off right now.
I mean, a lot of people on that Saturday. You've got Belgium versus Russia late in the evening, and that could be the one that a lot of people target. Probably like the highest captain person that day will probably be Romelu Lukaku, or Kevin De Bruyne maybe. But I've seen a lot of people generally go for Lukaku. But if you want to go for someone different, as a bit of a differential to take a little gamble, then yeah, I like it.
Watch Benteke start now for Belgium. That would be fun.
The ending of the season he's had.
Yeah, I didn't really understand. Did Belgium plays Finland in the first game? Is that correct?
No, they play Russia in their first game.
Oh, Russia. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'd probably go with Lukaku over Shaqiri, to be honest, because it's a win-win for me. If you don't win and Shaqiri does nothing with my captaincy on,
it's two disappointments in one, isn't it?
I mean, it's a risk you can take with changing captaincy options, without a doubt. That's true, actually. I mean, there's no. If you really think that Lukaku is going to perform well against Russia, there's no point sticking on Shaqiri. But if you'd gone with Kane anyway, I mean, why not? Why not try Shaqiri?
Yeah.
So, which players are you going to be picking then? So, as at the come start of the tournament, which players do you think from Switzerland you'll be picking?
Shaqiri and Elvedi, I think, just as a backup defender at 4.5 million. And I'm going to consider. I mean, it depends. I'm not quite sure on my team yet, but it depends how much money is left. And if there's 1 or 2 million left, I'll maybe switch already to Mbabu or Rodriguez. Mbabu is 5 and Rodriguez is 0.5 more expensive, but that will be a bit of a gamble, I guess, for $1 million more. But I think you could take the risk if you want. But Shaqiri is a must-have, in my opinion.
Okay, good advice. And so the forwards basically avoid, yeah.
Don't quote me on that, by the way.
We'll come and find you.
Forwards, basically, you think, and don't appear to be good value for money.
They could be, I could be wrong with that, but it's just not really reliable. It's like a 3-week punt with a FPL asset. They could work out, but 8.5 million, I think, is expensive. Yeah, it's extremely expensive for a team who. Seferovic 8.5 million. He misses so many chances, and sometimes he scores. I think it's a player who scores a hat trick now and then, but like 1 in 10 years, and it's just not reliable enough, in my opinion. They will start.
So he's not your favorite player then.
I mean, he used to be much worse. You don't know how.
Until he gets his 1 in 10 year hat trick against Wales.
I mean, he was so bad in 2014-16. He was. I mean, he got booed. That was pretty sad, actually. But he got booed by Switzerland people. So yeah, not our proudest moment, I guess. But I like him, but yeah, I'm not seeing. I don't think he's a reliable goal scorer. He scores a lot for Benfica, but he probably gets a lot of chances there.
Okay.
If you want to punt, if you have a lot of money left and you're happy with your team, why not go with Seferovic? He's
talking himself into it now.
Yeah, maybe perhaps. I'm looking for any Swiss player who can do anything, but not easy to find anyone. But he's a goal hanger, so he could, stick his foot in there and blast it over the bar. But yeah.
Rob, you got anything for Nicola before we sign off?
No, I mean, we've discussed all the way through about Switzerland. Like, what would you say the minimum expectation is for Switzerland in the tournament? Is it just get out of the group and see how it goes, or is it like we're going to get to the quarterfinals, or like what would you say that the Swiss fans' expectation is, and then what's your expectation from Switzerland?
I think everyone will say it's an alright tournament if we get through the group, even if we lose straight away after. But I think a lot of fans want to go further than last 16. always, like in every tournament since, I don't know, 1994, we always went out before last 16 or last 16. So I think a lot of fans would appreciate that we actually get to the last 8 or anything like that. But I think I'll be happy if we get through the group, because I don't expect a lot from us. I think in 2018 we were better, and I think publicity as well expects go through the group, and then it's an alright tournament, I suppose. Not great, not bad, but it will be okay.
Okay. Have you got anything you'd like to say or add or talk about with regards to Switzerland before we sign off?
I don't think so. I just maybe place to avoid are the DMs, the defensive midfielders, Xhaka. I don't think I need to tell the viewers that, because I'm sure they play fantasy a lot, but there's just players at 6 million or something like that not gonna get any goals or assists. That's all I wanted to add.
And basically, Shaqiri should be an essential player in your side.
Yeah.
You've used the E word. You tell me off.
The E word, essential.
Essential, yeah. Essential, absolutely essential. Without him, you'll probably end up in 100,000. You'll end up like.
That would be good. That's higher than where we are at the moment.
Right. Thank you very much for your advice and your input. We really, really appreciate it, and I'm sure all the viewers will as well. Rob, anything else from you before we go?
No.
Fantastic.
That's it.
That's it. Get Shaqiri.
Get Shaqiri,
and thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
it was a pleasure.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and look out for our next installment in the Euro 2020 preview series. Good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.